Hello and welcome to April 2025 for your astrological forecast. My name's Demian Allen. If you like the video you're about to watch, then press the like button and become a subscriber. All helps to spread the word of astrology. In this video, I'm going to look at the key dates for April 2025 from an astrological perspective, what to look out for, what planets are dominating the skies, which zodiac signs are going to be affected over the next 4 weeks, and how to survive and respond to these planetary energies. So keep watching. I'm also going to be looking at the 12 zodiac signs from your sun sign and your rising sign, because we all want to know individually as well as collectively what's happening for April 2025. So without further ado, let's get started. So this is the overview for April 2025. One of the things that I think is really kind of prominent is the fact that we've all hopefully survived March. It's been a very unpredictable previous month, full of a lot of misunderstandings, miscommunications, and an assertiveness that's been in the collective air of anxiety that's probably affected us all. What can we expect from April of 2025? Well, certainly forward motion is going to be one of the major key themes that are going to play out. Things actually moving forward, less communication problems, but we have to get to that, and that's certainly for the second half of the month. So let's start to begin to look at the key months ahead, key dates, what to look out for. So first of all is April the 7th. That is a key date because that is when Mercury moves direct. Throughout March, Mercury has been retrograde, and that's caused miscommunication, that's caused problems with transport systems. Now we still, even though the Mercury goes direct, we still have this shadow period that is also going to take place. That goes up to the 26th of April. So all that means is that it goes direct, the planet Mercury, it goes through all of the degrees that it's gone backwards over. So it's called a shadow period. It means it's kind of like catching up with what it needs to do. So if you're in a Mercury profected year, Mercury is the planet of your year, then things should start to get moving. And certainly if you're Gemini or Virgo or got Mercury in your natal chart, then this is a significant development. But I think for us all collectively, it's going to really kind of help us in terms of getting stuff done, being aware that we can actually send those emails out and they're going to arrive, that things are going to come through the post, or that we get on that train, plane, or in the car and it's going to get us to where we need to get to. So it's quite significant. The next significant time is the 13th of April, because there's two things that happen on that. The first is that Venus goes direct, because that's also been retrograde. And that's been between Aries and Pisces, so that moves direct. So, you know, Venus is about how we relate. It's relationships, but not just romantic, it's business partnerships. And hey ho, we've seen in the news, a lot's been going on with miscommunications to do with people and how people relate to each other on the political scale. So we'd expect things to start to move in a better way than it has done. Also on that day is a full moon at 23 degrees in Libra, which is kind of a lucky kind of energy to it. It does square Mars, so look out for a little bit of unpredictableness at that particular date. But because of the Venus moving forward, that really kind of helps an awful lot. And I feel like that is when the month really begins to actually improve from the first couple of weeks of April, because of the full moon, because of Venus moving direct, and we've also got Mercury moving direct as well. So we can know that things are going to start to get a little bit smoother and certainly speed up. On the 19th, the sun enters Taurus. So we're into the second stage of the astrological wheel. When the sun goes into Taurus, Taurus is an earth sign, it's a fixed sign. So it usually brings in a lot of stability for us all and makes us feel a little bit more calmer. And the energy of growth, fertility, renewal comes into the collective. Like I said, the 26th is also really important because that's when Mercury reaches the degree of when it went retrograde. And then on the 27th, we've got a lovely new moon at 7 degrees in Taurus as well, bringing that kind of sense of grounding from a collective point of view. So if I look at that from the holistic point of view, I would say that April is going to be a period of movement. All of the planets in the second half of the month are going to be going direct. You know, so to me, when planets go direct, all of them are going direct, it means movement. But significantly, it's the Neptune factor that's to look out for, because at the end of March, Neptune, for the first time in 165 years, went into Aries. So this is the first time that we're really going to get a sense of where Neptune is going to affect from a collective point of view. So Neptune's been in Pisces, which is all about non-boundaries. Like Pisces doesn't like boundaries, nor does Neptune, non-boundaries. Aries does like structure. It likes to move forward. So suddenly you've got this Neptune that doesn't like boundaries, but Aries want to put structure and boundaries onto the Neptunian energy, which means there's stuff like social media, stuff like immigration, stuff about conquering things that are further afield are going to be some key themes that are going to play out as Neptune becomes more comfortable with Aries. Now, this doesn't happen until really 2026, because Neptune is going to go back into Pisces later this year. So, you know, for a lot of us, it will just feel like, okay, we're getting used to this particular energy, but it is a major collective shift and major themes. So it's a 14-year cycle that's going to bring in new leaders, that's going to bring in new economics, that's going to bring in new political aspects. We're already beginning to see that, and that usually happens when you've got an outer planet that goes from one sign to another. Before it gets the new sign, what you tend to find is that the themes start to bubble up as it's at the end of the zodiac sign, as it has been in Pisces. So that's for me, one of the major kind of changes. We've also just had Pluto go into Aquarius, and that's had a major shift in awareness. And, you know, that's going to be there for 20 years. So we're still sort of settling into that factor and how that's going to play out. So April's going to feel very different. There's going to be a different view, collective viewpoint, a different world view that's going to sort of start to begin to emerge during this particular period. Okay, let's look at individual sun sign stroke rising sign. So this is, the next bit is for Aries sun sign, or if you've got Aries as your rising sign. Okay, for me, this Aries, big month, planets moving forward. You know, you've had the retrogrades of Venus and Mercury. They are moving forward in April. They both start back in Pisces. So, for example, in around about the 15th, 16th, Mercury goes back into Aries. And, you know, Venus, it remains in your 12th house, even when it's moving forward. The sun is also in your own sign as well. So there's some significant gains here. This is your start of your new year. And I kind of feel very much so that this is an energy that's really going to feel like you can put things into practice. You can get things kind of moving that perhaps in March wasn't happening for you, or you were trying to push things forward, it just wasn't going on. But now you can. You've also got, on the 13th, you've got a full moon in your solar 7th house, which really ignites the relationship area of your chart and how you deal with other people. It's a nice full moon. It's a little bit unpredictable with its squaring Mars, which is your ruler, but you know that it's going to be good. Now, let's go back to your ruler, because your ruler Mars has been in Cancer, which is not comfortable in, and on the 18th of April it goes into Leo, and that's a big move, because it's a fellow fire sign like yourself, so things can actually happen, things can move, you can be assertive without annoying other people or getting each other's back. This is going to be really good for you. It also goes into the creative zone of your chart as well, where you can express yourself and feel like you can express yourself in a way that you get a lot from. So huge aspect there. And I kind of feel that this is a very positive month for a lot of Aries, where they've had to be quite patient and things have not moved the way that they would like. So enjoy April. Okay, Let's go into Taurus sun sign or Taurus rising. If you're born at the end of Taurus, so you're 18th, 19th, 18th, 17th, 18th, 19th of May, then Uranus is hitting you and everything's crazy and up in the air, and you'll just feel like you're on a roller coaster and there's nothing you can do and all this kind of aspect. Just be open to the changes that come along. For most Taurians, I think this month is actually a little bit of a resting month. The sun is, in your 12th house until the 19th, when the sun will go into your first house and into Taurus. Venus, your ruler, on the 13th moves direct. That's going to help you a lot. You're going to feel a little bit more yourself, Taurians, a little bit more grounded. If you felt a bit kind of out of sorts, Taurians, during the last 4 weeks, I'd probably blame Venus retrograde for that. Taurians like to be in the body and like to feel that they're in the body and the clothes they wear and everything else and feel comfortable. And, Venus retrograde sometimes can be a little bit detrimental to that. Here, it's interesting, the Neptune factor just going into your 12th house now. And the 12th house is what's commonly known. I call it the house between two worlds. So those worlds can be spiritually or creatively or in the dream world, when we go to retreats or we meditate, we might go from one world to another, whatever that may be. So that Neptune is kind of activating for Taurians, but Taurians is a practical zodiac sign, and it wants things to be tangible. So this is going to be sort of working very subconsciously, that you'll just might be feeling a little shift of that questioning. You know what? I need to discover the inner side of me a little bit more, or concentrate on that particular energy. And that is going to bring out a whole different array of different changes that are going to come through. So, yeah, be aware of that. But I think for most Taurians, apart from those born at the end of the sun in Taurus, are in for a pretty good month ahead. Okay, let's go on to Gemini sun and Gemini rising. Okay. So, Mercury, your ruler, 7th of April, moves forward. Great. In your solar 11th house, which deals with people doing you favors, or people higher up in position doing you favors, friendships, groups, societies, the collective, the money that you earn from your career. So look out for things moving in that direction in a way that's kind of be really kind of positive, or things moving quickly. Particularly, I would say on the 26th, when Mercury goes back to the degree of when it went retrograde. That I think is going to be really, really important for you. Also on the 18th, Mars goes into your 3rd house, which is your natural zodiac house, and that's the house of communication. So suddenly you can breathe, suddenly you can communicate effectively, suddenly you can get your ideas across, where the last 4 weeks that probably hasn't happened. It's probably you've been trying to get your ideas across, but it just hasn't quite kind of moved. And I feel that's going to be really, really strong for you. Also Venus moving forward, it's not affecting you that much at this particular point, but I think your career is going to start to move a little bit better, or certainly ideas about your career are going to start to move forward as it's in your 10th house, which is the house of career in your particular chart. I just feel like Mercury factor gets things moving quite a bit. Okay, Cancer sun, Cancer rising. Always look out for the moon cycles. You've got 2 to look out for. You've got one on the 13th, which is in Libra. That's in your 4th house, that full moon. So things to do with family issues, home, property needing to be dealt with. As I said, there's a little unpredictability with that because it does square the Mars, which is still traveling in your own zodiac sign until the 18th, when it moves into your 2nd house. The 2nd house is the house of finance, the house of how you value yourself, and therefore you'd expect a lot of your energy to switch into the mode of your finances here. Remember, Mars has been in and out of your first house since September of last year. It has been moving forward since the 24th of February, but listen, you know, you'll be glad when it goes into your second house. The warning I would give when Mars is in the second house is try not to be too assertive or too aggressive in your pursuit for money or making impulsive decisions regarding your finances during this particular period. That's from the 18th. So you've got that, you've got the new moon, sorry, you got the full moon on the 13th, you've got a new moon on the 27th that's occurring. And, you know, that's quite a nice kind of energy because that lights up the friendship part of your chart and connecting with others and stuff like that. So a new cycle with that. So this is a good time to join clubs, join groups, be involved in the collective. Very, very nice for Cancerians. Okay, let's move on to Leo Sun or Leo Rising. I've talked about Pluto in your opposite house, so I'm going to try and not talk about that because I think most Leos are going, yeah, I get it. I've got Pluto in my 7th house. Yeah, okay, relationships are going to be a little bit tricky, are they? Well, yeah, but I said I wouldn't talk about it, so I'm not going to. So what am I going to focus on? I'm going to focus on the fact that the Sun is nicely transiting your 9th house, 9th solar house, which is the house of travel, the house of higher knowledge, the higher house of publishing. So you know, this is good education, training, all these kind of stuff really kind of work really well for you. But also you got, you know, Neptune just going into that as well. And that for me is really kind of interesting because Neptune's going to be in a journey, okay, from 2026 particularly, that it's going to be transiting for 14 years, that house. And there is the explorer coming up. There is the natural, you know, I want to go out there and I want to go to the far reaches of the world and discover new aspects. And that's one of the things that you really kind of bring to the forefront. So for me, that's going to be really kind of a big thing, a change that's going to go over some time. I would also kind of say that the Uranus factor is at the end of your 10th house. It's got a couple more months before it kind of moves, but you know, look, if your career has been unpredictable over the last 6 or 7 years, you're sort of coming to the end of that particular cycle, and I think that's going to be quite a big kind of thing, that in fact it is going to be coming to the end of the cycle here. For Leos, it's a nice month. It's a nice month. A lot of productivity is going to be achieved. A lot's going to really kind of you feel like, again, that you can be quite action orientated and put things in place that are gonna obviously come out later on in the year, to do with how you deal with life, how you respond to life. Very, very good as well for just kind of concentrating on outside interests that are far away from work or career or aspirations like that. Bit of play, I would say. Okay, Virgo sun sign, Virgo rising. Obviously, Mercury is your ruler. On the 7th, Mercury does move forward. It moves forward in Pisces. So again, this is a lot of focus is on relationships for a lot of Virgos at the moment. It has been for the last couple of years, and how they deal with people, how they respond to people's energies. And that's going to pretty much continue, but particularly because Venus also, which moves forward on the 13th, it has been retrograde in your opposite side of Pisces. So it's clearing up messes from the last 4 weeks, or misunderstandings that's occurred, or just putting things in place and putting boundaries in place. I think it's going to be really kind of important, you know, in how you deal with the energy of Mercury and Venus start to move forward in a big way. So I feel like that's going to play out quite a bit. You've got the planet Jupiter still transit in your 10th house. It's in the middle, around about 17, 18 degrees this month in April. And that means that, you know, there is still a lot of opportunities coming around in career. The best thing I can say to do with that is, look, some of those opportunities are great, and some of them are going to be a little bit sort of not manifest at all, and just not going to be particularly great. But, you know, it's about sort of casting your net wide and seeing what things are dropping in place to do with your career, or further advancement in your career, particularly as we go into the second half of this year. Okay, let's go on to, where was I? I had a bit of a Mercury retrograde moment there. Okay, we're on Libra. So Libra sun sign or Libra rising. Okay, big news, Venus. Venus moving forward on the 13th, and you'll be like, oh, really pleased, because that has been quite a big one. It's been in your 7th house in March, which is the relationship area of your life. But it's gone back into Pisces, and it's going to catch up. It's going to go in on May. It's going to go back into your 7th house for a little bit of tidying up. But at least you can be diplomatic. At least you can bring a bit of harmony. At least you can feel that other people are sort of, you know, not projecting their anger onto you, or you will feel that, you know, life just moves a little bit easier than it has done. You've got a lovely full moon in your own sign, 23 degrees. That's on the 13th. So 13th is a big day for you. Your rule of Venus moves forward. You've got a full moon in your own sign. Big day. And with full moons, it's always the couple of days beforehand and a couple of days afterwards that it's affected. So you're looking at really from the 11th to around about the 15th of April, that being quite a busy condensed period where a lot of activity, lots going to happen. And then it kind of slows down. The sun is also in a transit in your 7th house, so again the relationship area. So I think, you know, Librans like to deal with other people. They like other people in life. They like to, you know, I always say, you know, Librans never arrive at a party on their own. They have to be with somebody. They don't like to be alone, and it's the thing that they have to kind of learn at one stage in life too. So I feel like, because the sun's shining in the 7th house, it's kind of like that a lot of people are going to come in and help you out, and it's less misunderstandings and miscommunication that's been going on for you. Okay, Scorpio sun, Scorpio rising. Yeah, quite significant here. Mars, let's talk about Mars. Mars on the 18th moves from Cancer into Leo. Now, that for me is really significant because it moves into the career part of your chart. So if you've got aspirations, if you've got things that you've wanted to put in place, you've got businesses that you want to move forward or start up, then from the 18th, Mars is gonna come in and go, right, okay, when do we do this? And let's do this now, kind of scenario. Again, don't be with Mars, don't be too reckless, don't be too impatient with things. But I feel that being your traditional ruler, that's actually good. Other side of things is that Pluto is in Aquarius. That's in your 4th house. Will be for a long time. But it's just a reminder of that factor about that, because what we've also got is, right in the month, we've got Mars and Pluto opposing. And for me, that could be a very sort of tricky time that we gotta bring in. It's really around about the 20th, so that energy you've just got to be very careful of at that time, because it's just very volcanic and a little bit unpredictable. Okay, let's go into Sagittarius sun, Sagittarius rising. Yeah, Jupiter is still in your 7th house, benefiting from that an awful lot. But let's just talk about Saturn, because Saturn's coming to the end of the cycle in the 4th house. The 4th house is all about, you know, it's one of the house of the parents, you know, whichever one's the dominating factor. Usually it's the house of the father traditionally, and the mother is the 10th house. In modern astrology, the house of the mother is 4th house and the house of the father is 10th house. Depends what, you know, floats your boat and which one you want to go for as an astrologer. But certainly there is a kind of sense of, when Saturn has been transiting over the last 2.5 years, for a lot of Sagittarius, they've been kind of tethered to responsibilities in the home environment, and that's kind of coming to an end. But within that, you know, you've built up a role that you've really kind of been dealing with, and you might have got used to that role or being on that high frequency, and suddenly there may be a sort of a feeling that, oh, that's coming to an end, and I can maybe, you know, over the summer play a bit and travel a bit and do all the things that Sagittarius like to do. the problem with that, I think, is like it's just adjusting to that. You know, Sagittarius have had to deal with a lot of responsibility, and then suddenly it's like, oh, okay, maybe I have to, or things are playing out that means that you don't have to put as much energy into the property, the home, the family, or things that you feel very dutiful to. And I think that shift is really beginning to happen. Plus, you've got the Jupiter factor in Gemini. Now, Jupiter in Gemini is not that comfortable. You know, it's a bit sort of going in too many different directions. It's a bit of an eight of wands in the tarot, you know. And so I think for you, this is going to be a little bit of a tricky kind of period of trying to get a balance between the restlessness of I want to do stuff to the responsibility. And that pretty much sums up the month of April for you. Okay, sun sign Capricorn, or rising sign in Capricorn. You know, Capricorn's kind of been left to their own devices. You know, they're really pleased that Pluto's no longer traveling in their own sign. They're sort of looking at Aquarians going, good luck with that. But, you know, and your ruler Saturn's moving forward in Pisces. Pisces complements Capricorn. It's a water sign. You're an earth side. It balances. Obviously, in the month of May, at the end of May, it's going to go into Aries, and that will get Capricorns going again. But for a majority of you, it's starting to look a bit more easier, simply because of the Mars factor. Mars on the 18th goes out your 7th house. It's been traveling in the 7th house. You've had to deal with other people, other people's aggressions, other people's projections, other people's assertiveness, other people's ideas, and you're kind of like, I don't really want to deal with that anymore. And from the 18th, you don't. You know, although things have the last 4 weeks maybe moved forward a little bit more than they have been, you're actually on easier territory. You can focus on yourself a lot more. You're not dealing with other people's stuff. You can focus on yourself. You can concentrate on your work. Oh my God, that's bliss to Capricorns here. And it's that from the 18th, it's like, and breathe again. That's for a lot of Capricorns. Okay, Aquarius sun or Aquarius rising. Yeah, okay. Let's look at this. So the Mercury and the Venus, they have affected you, particularly the Mercury. Financial matters have been a thing because Mercury goes forward on the 7th, and it's in your 2nd house. So any financial matters that you've been trying to deal with, you're going to deal with, and you're going to put things in place, or things are going to move, particularly for self-employed, which Aquarians usually are. Then, you know, the financial matter is going to start to move forward here as well. Venus is also in your 2nd house. So there's a lot to do with the financial, a lot to do with how you value yourself and putting actions into place of how you get your money, particularly if you're self-employed for Aquarians. You know, Jupiter is in the 5th house, so it's still playtime for a lot of you. The Mars factor is interesting because Mars goes into your 7th house on the 18th, which is the house of other people. But if there's been any kind of health issues that have been kind of around you or frustrating you, from the 18th, things should start to look a little bit easier on that front as well. And then it goes into the 7th house, so it's dealing with other people and being assertive with other people and putting boundaries in place for a lot of Aquarians. If you remember that. And let's go back to the Pluto factor. You've got Pluto, so boundaries in your own sign, so boundaries are a key feature for you, for a lot of Aquarians. Okay, Pisces sun, Pisces rising. Wow. Okay, Pisces. Well, there's a lot going on with you, particularly with Mercury and Venus. They're both moving forward on the 7th Mercury, on the 13th Venus in your own sign. So a lot of focus on you. The sun's in the 2nd house, so a lot to do with the financial elements. Your modern ruler is also traveling in your 2nd house. So this is a lot to do with ideas about how you earn your money, future careers, possibilities. You're going to have to make some decisions in regards to those areas, I feel like, that have been put on hold for the last couple of months, and make sure those decisions sort of stick. You know, learn from Saturn transit in your own sign of the zodiac over the last 2.5 years and be able to stick with stuff. It's hugely important. If you do, you can achieve an awful lot for the 2nd half of this year. If you go wandering and trying out other stuff, it's not going to really kind of work for you. A lot of you are going to feel very, very different. But, you know, Neptune has shifted from your own zodiac sign, which has been there for 14 years. A lot of you are going to feel a little bit more, right, okay, this is the time I'm going to do stuff. I'm going to really action stuff. I'm going to do a vision board. I'm going to write lists down. Fantastic. Do all that, but make sure you stick at it by the end of the month. Okay, thank you very much for watching. Really appreciate it. Please become a subscriber, like the video, and I will see you all very soon, my astrology friends, for more videos. Thanks for watching. Bye.